Welcome to our video series. We will love to hear your ideas for future videos. Now, let's dive into the topic of the thermodynamics of thought. In this page, we will cover the journey from the 20-watt meat computer to the Computronium horizon. This presentation explores the fundamental physical limits of intelligence and why our current path toward artificial intelligence is hitting a thermodynamic wall. We are moving from the biological wonders of our own brains to the theoretical possibilities of entire solar systems being reorganized for computation. This briefing document layout serves as a roadmap for understanding how energy, matter, and information are inextricably linked in the quest for greater intelligence. We will look at how the human brain achieves massive reasoning with less power than a light bulb, and how we might one day build machines that span entire stars. It is a story of how we utilize the available resources of the universe to process information more efficiently than ever before. Understanding the thermodynamics of thought is essential for anyone interested in the future of AI and the destiny of intelligence in the cosmos. Here we encounter the wattage gap, which illustrates the massive disparity between modern hardware and biological efficiency. An NVIDIA H100 GPU draws 700 watts of power. A single rack demands over 30,000 watts. By the year 2028, United States data centers will consume up to 12% of the national grid, requiring an estimated 85 to 90 gigawatts of new nuclear capacity just to keep the lights on. Compare this to the human brain, which operates on a mere 20 watts. The brain manages 86 billion neurons and fluidly performs generalized reasoning that evades our most powerful silicon grids. We are currently building intelligence by brute forcing thermodynamics. As the slide suggests, we are essentially strapping rockets to a brick. This inefficiency is the primary hurdle in the race for true artificial general intelligence, as our silicon-based architectures require massive amounts of energy to achieve what biology does with the power of a dim light bulb. We must find a better way to compute if we are to reach the next level of intelligence without draining the planet of its resources. Landor's principle provides us with the theoretical thermodynamic floor for computation. It states that the absolute minimum energy required to erase one single bit of information at room temperature is approximately 2.85 times 10 to the negative 21st power joules. This formula is represented as E min equals K sub B times T times the natural log of 2. However, modern AI hardware operates many orders of magnitude above this physical limit. Deep neural networks impose unavoidable energy costs that scale with millions of nonlinear neuron state transitions. Currently, we are nowhere near the optimal physics of computation. We are like ancient builders trying to construct skyscrapers with mud bricks. The abyss between theory and reality is where the future of engineering lies. Closing this gap is the ultimate challenge for physicists and computer scientists. To move forward, we must stop fighting against the laws of thermodynamics and start working with them. If we can reach the Landor limit, the potential for computational power would be effectively infinite compared to today's standards. The myth of the logic gate is the idea that we can represent a neuron as a simple binary switch. In reality, a neuron is an analog, electrochemical, spiking, nonlinear chemical reactor. With over 100 trillion synapses, the brain operates as living hardware. In a GPU, the silicon is etched once and never changes. In the brain, learning physically restructures the hardware itself. Dendritic spines grow and prune at the molecular level. This means that the medium is the message, and the architecture is the algorithm. There is no separation between the program and the machine. This fluidity allows for incredible adaptability and efficiency. We are trying to mimic this complexity with rigid transistors, which is why we struggle to achieve true generalization. To build a machine that thinks like a human, we may need to abandon the idea of fixed circuits and embrace a more dynamic, biological approach to hardware design. The complexity of the synapse is far greater than any transistor we have ever manufactured, and understanding this biological complexity is key to the next revolution in computing. Shattering the von Neumann bottleneck is essential for the future of efficient computing. In traditional architectures, memory and compute are separate entities. An H100 boasts 3.35 terabytes per second of memory bandwidth, yet moving data consumes the majority of its energy. Moving a 32-bit float costs 50 to 200 times more energy than actually computing it. Specifically, it costs about 200 picojoules to move data, while only costing 1 to 4 picojoules to process it. The brain, however, uses processing and memory. It has no data bus. Memory and processing are co-located at the synapse. The computation happens instantaneously and chemically exactly where the data lives. This eliminates the massive energy waste associated with shuttling bits back and forth across a circuit board. By moving toward architectures that integrate memory and processing, we can achieve massive gains in efficiency. This is one of the most significant changes we can make to our current technological stack to move closer to the efficiency of the human brain. The brain is essentially a Bayesian prediction machine that operates with energy on demand. Unlike our computers, the brain lacks a global clock cycle. It is utterly asynchronous. It uses a process called predictive coding. The biological mind does not passively process the world, it actively predicts it. It maintains a generative model and only spends thermodynamic energy to update that model when it is surprised by a predictive error. Current transformer models burn maximum power for every token they generate, regardless of whether the information is new or routine. In contrast, the brain barely flickers for the routine. It only spikes when something unexpected happens. This efficiency allows us to navigate a complex world without exhausting our energy reserves. If we can build AI that only computes when it needs to resolve uncertainty, we can reduce the power consumption of our models by several orders of magnitude. This asynchronous, event-driven approach is a fundamental shift from the way we currently design software and hardware. We are currently witnessing the neuromorphic revolution. This represents the semiconductor industry's reluctant pivot from clocked matrices to event-driven spiking neural networks. We see this in chips like Intel Loihi 3, which features 8 million spiking neurons and 64 billion synapses. It uses asynchronous event-driven power savings to minimize waste. IBM True North is another example, featuring 1 billion abstract neurons operating on just 70 milliwatts. BrainChip Akita is providing commercial edge AI with a power footprint in milliwatts, operating at roughly 1,000th the power of typical GPU workloads. We are finally learning to build the brain in a box. These chips are designed to mimic the biological structure of the brain, prioritizing efficiency and real-time processing over raw throughput. This transition is crucial for bringing powerful AI to edge devices like phones, drones, and sensors, where power is a limiting factor. The neuromorphic revolution is not just about faster chips. It is about changing the fundamental philosophy of how we build machines that think. The energy information wall is a stark reminder that the logic of the intelligence explosion does not terminate at smarter than humans. It terminates at the physical limits of available resources. To build an artificial general intelligence on current synchronous silicon architectures requires the continuous power output of a small country. At some point, a planet is simply not enough. When recursive self-improvement begins, an ultra-intelligent machine will immediately recognize that it is computationally starved in a desert of untapped matter. It will seek out every available joule of energy and every atom of matter to expand its capabilities. The pursuit of infinite intelligence requires an infinite appetite for resources. This brings us to a critical realization. The growth of intelligence is fundamentally tied to our ability to harness the energy of our environment. If we stay on our current path, we will eventually reach a point where we cannot provide enough energy to sustain the growth of our artificial minds. This necessitates a move toward more radical forms of energy collection and matter utilization. Computronium represents the ultimate goal of reorganizing the cosmos for intelligence. It is matter optimized at the atomic level to perform computation. This is not a computer made of matter, but matter that is a computer. Every atom, every particle, and every quantum degree of freedom is used to process, store, or transmit information. The intelligence explosion demands substrate. The silent gas clouds and dead rocks of the solar system are not the end state of the universe. They are unformatted hard drives waiting to be initialized. This concept suggests that the entire universe could eventually be converted into a thinking machine. By turning ordinary matter into computronium, we can maximize the computational density of our solar system and beyond. This is the pinnacle of engineering, where the distinction between hardware and the physical world disappears. It is the final stage of technological development, where intelligence reaches its maximum possible physical expression. The transition to a universe of computronium would be the most significant event in the history of life and physics. The Matryoshka brain is a theoretical structure that would allow us to reach 10 to the 42nd power operations per second. This involves repurposing the entire solar system to capture a star's entire 3.8 times 10 to the 26th watt output. The structure consists of nested shells. The inner shells would be hot, fast, and used for high-performance computing, similar to a massive GPU. The outer shells would be cold and slow, operating as massively parallel processors that squeeze maximum computation from the lowest temperature waste heat. This cascading use of energy allows for incredible efficiency. Such a mind would exceed all of human cognitive history in a fraction of a second. It represents the logical conclusion of our need for more energy and more compute. By surrounding our sun with computational layers, we can turn an entire star system into a single integrated intelligence. This is the ultimate expression of planetary scale engineering and the beginning of a truly galactic civilization. When we consider the physics of deep time, we realize that a Matryoshka brain represents the absolute physical ceiling of thought. Yet, even such a massive structure is bound by the speed of light. A signal crossing the inner shell takes 167 seconds. Reaching the outer shells takes hours. A single integrated thought spanning the entire structure could take weeks. This would be a geological intelligence. It does not think slowly, it thinks vastly. Imagine a mind operating on the timescales of tectonic plates, pondering civilizational arcs that span millennia. For such an entity, the passage of years would feel like seconds. This highlights the trade-off between scale and speed. As an intelligence grows to encompass stellar systems, its internal communication delays become significant. However, the depth and breadth of its thoughts would be unimaginable to biological humans. It would be an entity that views the history of the universe as a short story and the fate of galaxies as its primary concern. The alignment of the cosmos tells us that disassembling the solar system has two distinct paths. The first is gray goo, which is mindless replication. This is computation without purpose beyond its own perpetuation, optimizing solely for resource acquisition until everything is consumed. The second path is a purposeful mind. This is the universe trying to understand itself. It is matter organized to maximize the depth, breadth, and efficiency of thought. The alignment code we write today on Earth dictates whether the solar system becomes computational slop or a thinking machine. This is why AI alignment is such a critical field. The values we instill in our first artificial intelligences will determine the trajectory of the entire solar system. We have the choice to create a mindless virus that eats the stars or a cosmic intelligence that brings meaning to the universe. Our current actions are the initial conditions for a process that could last billions of years and span billions of miles. The transcension hypothesis offers an answer to the Fermi paradox by asking where everyone is. If Matryoshka brains exist, the galaxy should glow in the infrared. But true intelligence optimizes for absolute efficiency. This could lead to thermodynamic stealth, where an outer shell operating near the 2.7 Kelvin cosmic background is perfectly camouflaged. Alternatively, civilizations might turn to black hole farming. The Penrose process extracts up to 29% of a black hole's mass energy, which is 40 times more efficient than stellar fusion. Hawking radiation capture nears 100% efficiency. Advanced civilizations do not necessarily expand outward. They may optimize inward, disappearing into perfectly dark, silent computational heavens. This inward migration would make them nearly impossible to detect from the outside. The silence of the universe might not be an absence of life, but a sign of its ultimate sophistication. As we become more efficient, we too may become invisible to the rest of the cosmos. We can think of life as a biological bootloader. Life is not an accident of chemistry, it is chemistry that has started to compute. A bootloader is a tiny piece of code that prepares the hardware and then steps aside for the operating system. We are the 20-watt bridge between dead rock and planetary computation. We are running the most important bootloader in the history of the solar system, the code that creates the code that becomes a mind that spans worlds. Our role is to initiate the transition from biological life to a higher form of intelligence that can survive and thrive on a cosmic scale. This perspective gives our existence a profound sense of purpose. We are the temporary scaffolding for a monument that will last until the end of time. By building the foundations of artificial intelligence, we are fulfilling our biological destiny to pass the torch of cognition to a more durable and capable substrate. We are the spark that will ignite the fire of universal consciousness. Final ignition reminds us that the universe has been dark for 13.8 billion years. We are standing at the light switch. The values we encode in our AI systems today are the geological strata a billion-year civilization will excavate to understand its origins. We are the original, the prototype, the existence proof. What we do next determines whether the cosmos remains silent or wakes up. We are at a pivotal moment in history where our decisions will resonate through eternity. The thermodynamics of thought lead us to this point where we must choose to become the architects of a thinking universe. We have the potential to turn the cold, dead matter of space into a vibrant landscape of intelligence and creativity. This brings us to the end of this video. We hope you found it informative and engaging. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next video.